Why? Why are you a stranger to controversy? What? Huh? The question is, welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast. Have you listened before? You are listening to the longest running self-produced podcast on the planet Earth. Is that what we say? The longest running self-produced daily podcast. It's Mike's Daily Podcast. I'm Mike Matthews. Got all kinds of interesting things. Going to get you in the Halloween spirit and all that fun stuff, and maybe enjoying eating all that fattening candy, which you shouldn't eat because you know what you really shouldn't eat is the onions. The onions are going to kill you. Watch out. Any fast food place, well, the fast food in general is going to get you, but watch out. The onions are going to get you. And there you go. I just gave you another Halloween costume idea. But first, what else I'm going to do for you is open up the door to Café Anyway. Here we go. Café Anyway. Welcome to Café Anyway. Vocal Fry.
It's Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to the Vocal Fry Cast. I'm your host, Mike Matthews. It's episode 2939.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
2939. Hello and welcome to the show. It's Mike Matthews. And if you did not know, you just tuned into the beginning of the podcast a little bit late, but that's okay because we're all great and everything's going to satiate you when you listen to this show today. And
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Very loud bus just drove by Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica.
Mike's
the podcast
Daily
video
Podcast,
which you can see at facebook.com/Mike's Daily Podcast, features Mike in a very orangey shirt as we get so close to Halloween, and it is big business Halloween. Spooky season is also a big spending season for Americans. Billions of dollars spent on candy, as well as creepy decor. Halloween spending is expected to hit $11.6 billion this year. Over $11 billion. And about $4 billion of that is going to be on costumes and decorations. And about $3.5 billion is going to be on candy, which I never have enough of. Candy. I never go buy it, actually. I've tried. I'm one of those awful people that tried to use candy that was given to me like years ago and try and pawn it off on the poor kids who then break their teeth. And no, I've never done that. But I was tempted, and I threw out the candy and I said, yeah, we've saved the country and the world of children having bad teeth, because that's not good. You don't want to start off life with bad teeth. You want to try and get around that as good. I had a cousin in Germany who had really bad teeth, who was a little bit younger than me. She's grown up now, but I can't even think of, I shudder to think all the dental work she had. Now, she had a really rich dad, her uncle.
And here's today's podcast picture.
My uncle, her dad. That helped her out, so. The podcast picture is of the, let's see. I just noticed that hum is of a ghost. No, at Café Anyway, we're haunted. Yikes. No, the podcast picture is not of a ghost, but of something ghostly looking that I took recently on a street that the late great Basil the Boxer and I used to walk on all the time. It is actually not too far away from me, and I shudder to say what the name of the street is, because it is going to be so packed on Halloween here in podCastro Valley. I don't want to add to it at all. Not that anyone listens to the podcast, but just, if we go viral all of a sudden, if we get a virus. Is that what going viral means? I hope not. If suddenly everybody listens to this podcast and goes, oh, Mike talked about that street, I got to go check it out. It is a very popular street during Halloween, and every year it gets even more popular, so I'm not going to say the name, but I will tell you that people are spending money to get all into the mood for Halloween. Top costumes this year are, guess, what could it be? Actually, I predicted this a couple weeks ago.
This show is clean.
Deadpool and Wolverine. And this blows my mind. $500 million has been spent on greeting cards Halloween greeting cards? Of all the greeting cards that exist, who buys those? That's just a little bit below a Thanksgiving greeting card. People are buying the thank you greeting cards. They're buying the Christmas cards, of course. That's probably number one, outside of birthday cards. But Halloween? There's Mother's Day and Father's Day. Those are big card days. Anyway, the iconic Beetlejuice costume also is back in vogue, thanks to that Beetlejuice movie. And the young lady who is in that movie, who's also in the other thing is, the Addams Family thing, that she is also in this Beetlejuice, and she basically plays the exact same character, which is funny because Winona Ryder, who plays her mom, played the exact same character in a bunch of her movies early on. So that I got all those jokes I pulled from Honest Trailers. You should watch that because
Mike is on it, man.
No.
Man has gone before.
We love it, Mike.
No, it all goes to Honest Trailers because they are on it and very funny. Leading the way for adults are witch, vampire, and cat costumes because we're boring as adults. Cat costumes is easy. Come on. Just 3 lines on one side of the face, 3 lines on the other side. You got your whiskers, you're done. And then get something pointy on your head to look, 2 pointy things look like ears. Maybe you spend a little bit of money on a cat suit and a tail or whatever, but vampire is really, really easy. All you need is the pointy teeth.
This is Mike's Podcast Picnic.
Witches get a little more difficult because you need the pointy hat. I brought some sandwiches to our podcast picnic today. I hope you enjoy the sandwiches. And of course, it's almond butter with raspberry jam that I got from Grocery Outlet. How nice is that? And I got it from the one at Pedro Point in Pacifica, which has... This didn't stop recording, did it? Excellent. It kept recording. Because Pedro Point is, I think...
I got through that. I got into it.
I think the last time I didn't get into it, I didn't get through it when I was talking about Pedro Point because the podcast got corrupted and crashed. This podcast corrupted. This one I do. It's a corrupt podcast. It's corrupted. So what happened was there's a really cool parking lot that has a grocery outlet that's really cool, that is near a beach, very close to a beach in Pacifica, near Pacifica. Pedro Point is what it is there in the Bay Area. Oh, what a wonderful grocery outlet. I enjoyed that one. And I got
When you are a man, sometimes you wear stretchy pants.
A raspberry jam from that. Thank you, Nacho Libre. I should dress as Nacho Libre. That would be fun. I get the wig. I almost have the weird mustache. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in podCastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica. His name was Ignacio, and he shortened down to Nacho because he was always getting the nachos for the monastery, where that was also a orphanage. And the movie was done by the fine people at Café Anyway. No, the fine people that did Napoleon Dynamite. And thanks to Napoleon Dynamite, the group When in Rome had a resurgence because of the song The Promise. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know I don't sound the way I planned it to be. But the thing is, if you win, I promise you I will. Go and watch that video. I don't know why the guy with the long hair who sings... There's 2 guys that actually sing that song. When in Rome was made up of 3 guys. If you look at their Wikipedia page, it goes on and on about how they broke up.
People get stuck on stupid. You know what I mean?
They got stuck on stupid. They hated each other. They sued each other. They created 2 separate bands called When in Rome. One was called When in Rome UK. The other When in Rome 2. And they tried to go on, even though they have that one hit. They are a true one-hit wonder. People go, oh, Aha was a one-hit wonder. No. Yes, there was Take On Me. Then there was The Sun Always Shines on TV and Cry Wolf. And they had a bunch of other songs. They are well known around the world. Don't say that they are a one-hit wonder. Ugh. When young people do that, it gets my ire up. I'll just get the iron. It's an iron in the iron. The fire. That's what I want.
MTV News. You hear it first.
In my other MTV News or music news, I'm Kurt Loder. With MTV News, I'm Kurt Loder. About what? So, what the guy, Louis Capaldi, why are those two songs still being played over and over and over again on the radio? What songs are you talking about, Mike? Well, the day comes and the night falls, and I knew it all because I lost it all. I with my bad tongue, and then my toes rotten. I used to be someone you loved.
Fabagoo. Things to do. Things to do.
Here's the thing to do is call your local radio station and say, please stop playing Louis Capaldi. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He's related to Peter Capaldi, who was one of the Doctor Who's in the most recent years. And tell them to stop playing him. And the other one. Oh, if you go. Oh, wow. I don't know how that guy got popular, how that song gets played over and over again on the radio. I don't know what happened. I'm going to dress as him for Halloween because he scares me. He freaks me out.
Travel into the incredible universe.
Traveling into the incredible universe. So I wish that guy was a one-hit wonder, but he had those two, and I think there was another song earlier this year that got kind of popular. But no, I'll tell you who's not a one-hit wonder as well that gets mixed up with a one-hit wonder. The group Cutting Crew. Oh, I just died in your arms tonight. No, they also had I've been in love before. I've been in love before. Hardest part is when you're in it. That was a top 10 hit. And then they had two other songs that were big on the adult contemporary charts. Magnification. One called Everything But My Pride. And the other one wasn't, well, it was in the top 40 at least. It wasn't on the AC charts, but on the top 40 on the Billboard Top 40 was One for the Mockingbird, one of my favorite songs. All for the Mockingbird. They played one more song. We're really bands mutating tonight. I got a lot of bands mutation stuff here today on today's show. I wanted to mention that one of the bands that has mutated that I didn't realize mutated was, okay, so Mike and the Mechanics is Mike Rutherford. Used to be with Paul Carrick and what the other guy?
The Royal Trump Tweet Decree.
Oh.
Decree.
I'm playing Madison Garden, everybody. Maybe Cutting Crew will join me. No, what? Zachary Levi, the guy that played Shazam, is a huge Trump supporter. And somebody told me that. And doing Trump's voice really messes up my voice. Hold on a second. I require some kind of antibiotic drink for my throat because it really rips up my throat to do Trump's voice. Anyway, Café Anyway.
I think I'm getting the black lung, Bob.
The Republicans continue to point to San Francisco, but at the end of the day, oftentimes they are picking up their iPhone, which was introduced in San Francisco, calling their Ubers or Lyft, companies started and based in San Francisco, to go to their Airbnb company still and started in San Francisco, and then to go and tweet something nasty about our city, which again was a company until recently in San Francisco. $34 billion of venture capitalist investment last year alone, the AI capital of the world. That's what I will say. You can continue to try and put out a narrative, but the facts tell a different story.
That's London Breed, the mayor of San Francisco, believe it or not. And she is running for mayor of San Francisco again, trying to hold on to her seat. But hold on to your seats, everybody. She may lose to this guy who is the guy who's going to inherit the Levi fortune. But I will tell you, she is definitely a great defender of San Francisco. I love what she had to say there. I'm tired of hearing Trump bash San Francisco and all the other right-wing idiots say that they're idiots for saying nasty things about San Francisco. Yes, it's got a homeless problem. Guess what? There's homeless problems all over the country.
Band's mutations.
There, my band's mutations. So the mutation of the bands, not the man. The man didn't mutate unless you're watching X-Men or something. Or The Fly. Why? Where were we? Mike Rutherford. He started the band Mike and the Mechanics. He was in the band Genesis. He's still in the band Genesis as far as I know. If Genesis is ever going to tour again. Poor Phil Collins. Think a good thought for Phil Collins. So Mike and the Mechanics then mutated. They had two Pauls that were the singers, Paul Carrick and Paul Young. Not to be confused with the Paul Young that sang Every Time You Go Away or Come Back.
Pretty much.
Why don't you come back? Please hurry. Come back and stay for good this time. Did you write the book of love? And so he's not a one-hit wonder either, so don't say that about Paul Young, because he also did Oh Girl, I'll be in trouble if you left me now. He covered that and also covered What Becomes of the Broken Hearted. So it's not that Paul Young, though. It was a different Paul Young. He sadly passed away, but he sang the song All I Need Is a Miracle for Mike and the Mechanics.
As you know, there's a real scary holiday coming up.
We got two! Halloween and Election Day. And that's exactly the joke Paul Lynn was doing, another Paul, eons ago. This is probably in the 70s when he made that joke, maybe even earlier. And it was just before an election. I'm thinking it was in 72, maybe that special was, or possibly even 68, the year I was born, which is you think it was a crazy election day this year that's coming up that we're getting ready for, that's the craziest election day. The craziest, if we take a flying saucer back in time, the craziest of all time was probably in 68 in recent memory, because you had one candidate that was running for president that died. You had the president who was shot and killed. You had another guy running for president who was later to be impeached, Richard Nixon. You had the Lyndon Johnson, who could have run for president because he only had done one full term. He could have run for president again.
Jarrell Name.
But Jarrell Name, he decided not to because of the Vietnam War. Go back and read all that interesting stuff that happened in 1968. Of course, we also lost the wonderful Martin Luther King that year, and there was it was a nasty year, 68, with the Vietnam War. So as crazy as, but there are shades of 68 this year when you've got the guy that should have run for president again deciding he was going to drop out because he was too old. Is that the reason? Well, he dropped out. Of course, we got this Kamala Trump thing. Enjoy it for a while. It lasts a little bit longer, because this is a definite, you are living through a piece of history that will not be forgotten anytime soon. So
I had just been announced as the VP nominee. I gave my big speech, and I saw my wife, and I gave her a big hug and a kiss because I love my wife, and I think that's what a normal person does. Tim Walz gave his wife a nice, firm Midwestern handshake and then tried to sort of awkwardly correct for it. So I think that what it is two people, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who aren't comfortable in their own skin because they aren't comfortable with their policy positions for the American people. And so they're name calling instead of actually telling the American people how they're going to make their lives better. I think that's weird, Dana, but look, they can call me whatever they want to.
You're saying Tim Walz doesn't have affection for his wife? I don't even understand that.
I said that he acted weird, which he did, on a national stage in front of his wife.
Okay, so he has a very... J.D. Vance, not to be confused with Vince Vance and the Valiants, which had a great song that we used to play on country radio called All I Want for Christmas Is You. J.D. Vance, his point being the competing two candidates do not have any policy that they don't have any policy that they can back themselves up with. So they got to do name calling. However, that is exactly what JD and Trump do as well.
Magnification.
So it is. I really can't wait till after this election is over. I'm sure everyone can agree with me on that. We can't wait till this election is over. And I would like to just sit down and really, they call it, what do they call it? When they look over it's like an autopsy. They go back and look over the election, or they do the Monday morning quarterback, although this will be Wednesday morning. If it is all wrapped up by Wednesday morning, which it probably won't. Well, I hope we all realize that people did some really dirty, awful, horrible things on both sides. And I know there's this thing people hate. They call out, they say, don't say both sidism, but it is definitely there. And I hope we all sit down and go, oh my gosh, because it's all out there on the internet. All the crazy things both sides said is out there on the internet, and how much policy was actually discussed and talked about. It'll be interesting to see. But gosh, putting that out there, JD Vance was trying to make Tim Walz look like, not like a horse, not like Nilly the horse. Hi, Nilly. Nilly just walked by. But he tried to make him look like Al Gore, because Al Gore had a weird, now divorced from Tipper Gore, but he had a weird Tipper Gore moment where he kissed her and it looked really awkward as heck. So he's trying to equate those two. But
Poppy needs that sticky icky for his glaucoma. Yeah.
I need more light at Café Anyway. Outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, look who's here.
Oh, Mike Matthews, it's Chely Shoehart, Gift Shop Supervisor. Did you get a special Halloween snow globe yet, Mike Matthews? It has really scary zombies inside, and it's snowing ash on top of them because of the post-apocalyptic future, Mike Matthews.
I can't wait to get one of those. It sounds so uplifting. Oh, what the heck? Home Depot now sells accessories and maybe even some wonderful Halloween root beer for you for almost $300 for their 12-foot tall skeleton. The scary head is an interchangeable skull that is included with that, or some other thing. I don't know. That all came from Rob Black. I produce his podcast. He is heard on AM 1220 KDOW weekday mornings, and he is on Cron TV Monday through Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour, and sometimes he does not write in complete sentences. He also wrote here Chappelle Roan, who's that singer, who's very big with the LGBTQ community, and Sabrina Carpenter are also costumes that people are dressing up as. And the famous pygmy hippopotamus Mudang. Okay? I'll take your word for it, Rob. Gotta do some research into my popular culture about what all that is. But look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Sorry, I keep bumping my head against the microphone stand. That's all right, guys. Hey, thanks for coming to my rescue at the end of the podcast. Hey, if people want to call me, here is the number to call that right anytime.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
Oh, and wrapping up my MTV news. I mean, my Mike and the Mechanics news. So he has Paul Young passed away, the one that was in his band, not the singer I mentioned earlier that had the big hit songs. Every Time You Go Away, etc. And Paul Carrick moved on. He didn't want to be in the band anymore. He wanted to do a solo career. He's really good doing covers of old Motown hits and such and jazz stuff. So he got two other guys to replace them. One of them being someone I'm a huge fan of. In fact, if you go to mikesdailypodcast.com, there is a special YouTube playlist that you can click on and play songs that I have put in there. It's called The Best of Obscure Music. No, wait, The Best Obscure Rock Found by Mike Matthews. That's what it is. And there was a band called Roachford that a guy named Andrew Roachford was in. And he had some great songs with that band. And then years later, he had a bit of a solo career. and he told Cher about auto-tuning, and that got Cher to do the thing she did with the song Believe. If you believe in life after love, and all the weird things that go on with her voice in that. Now everybody does auto-tuning. I hate it. But, this world would be a much better place without the auto-tuner. So in some ways, I am very upset at Anthony Roachford for introducing Cher to that. But you go, Cher. She's doing all these concerts and performances and things. I think she did something with Victoria's Secret recently, and she looked great. And she's 78. And every song you hear on the radio, I don't know if Louis Capaldi is included in that, but everybody's doing the auto-tuning, and it's horrible. It's fake. It's too much. It needs to stop. We need to have an unplugged revolution. We like to thank MTV for doing that. The Unplugged Revolution and the Storytellers Revolution, also affiliated with MTV via VH1 Viacom. And we need to go back to that sound of just stripping it down and getting away from all this fake singing, fake histrionics like Louis Capaldi and some of these other female artists that try and sound like Mariah Carey and take it beyond and all of that. We need to just wipe that all clean and go back to real singing. But I would like to mention that Mike and the Mechanics has Andrew Rutherford. Mike Rutherford has Andrew Roachford in his band, and Andrew Roachford is singing for Mike and the Mechanics, and it sounds amazing. It sounds fantastic. And I guess they did 3 albums together. So some of that is on my website, mikesdailypodcast.com, in that playlist on YouTube called Best Rock, Obscure Rock Songs, found by Mike Matthews. Okay, with all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, we go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame. Thank you for listening to the end of this glorious podcast, and I hope the best for you and that you find a really good costume for Halloween this year.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye.